Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Ace King on the button. In this hand, mid position open raises to two big blinds. Two big blinds isn't really a whole lot. I oftentimes view this just as a limp. There's really no benefit to making this play. You're building a pot maybe, but you're going to allow a lot of people in to see the flop. I think this tends to be a strategy in tournaments and not really good strategy in cash games. So in this player, his VPIP in mid position is 30%. It's only 20 hands in this case. His raise first in is 33%, 3 out of 9. So again, one hand, one way or the other is going to change that percentage. I'm going to say it's about 30% or a little less than 30%. This is pre-flop raising range. This is 28% because when I did 30%, I had some hands that I don't think he's probably raising. So I think something like this, I mean, it's a pretty wide range at 28%. That might be right. Maybe we're a little big because maybe he got lucky with his hands, but in any case, it gets to us. I think we look at 3-bet range, and definitely we get that three bet range. We've got a 3-bet call range. We also have a raise first in range, and I think this is what we're going to look at is when we see a player like this. He's playing 18-10 over 71 hands. I'm going to say he's probably not super loose. So when we go to like a range like this, button versus mid position, this is definitely like raise first in stat. I wouldn't play that big, but what we could do is if we look at like the ISO raising range, kind of look at that and use that. That might be about right. Now he didn't just limp, he actually raised. So what we can do is kind of eliminate some of our hands from his from our 3-betting range. 10, 7, 9, 6. I'd probably start playing those now. I still think I keep the offsuit hands off. I think 9, 10, Jack 10, those broadways. I think I tighten up my offsuit aces. Maybe not even play all of those aces, just because a player like this will likely have aces. So if we catch, we're probably outkicked. And with the offsuit, we don't really have a whole lot of redraws. I also probably wouldn't be doing suited kings a lot. I'd probably be making a play with something like this. And again, 10-9 is questionable. I think that's going to be my raising range here, which you can see is still pretty wide. It's kind of like his. I mean, it is almost identical to his. We've got a few more of these two gappers, and what we're hoping for is that if we raise and he just calls, we could pick up the pot on the flop, or if not, some of these hands are going to give us some monsters that will allow him to pay us off. So I 3-bet, technically 3-bet it. And he actually 4-bets. So I think that right there is going to drastically narrow ranges. His fold to 3-bet stat, 0 out of 3. He's folded. What we need to see is 3-bet, or I guess probably 4-bet after raising. This is going to be the first time that he's 4-bet after raising. I think call a 3-bet, 1 out of 4, 25%. Oh, that's call 3-bet plus. So call any 3-bet is 50%, 3 out of 60. So I think he's probably, I don't think most players 3-bet with all of the pocket pairs. I think maybe jacks. And I don't think they typically 3-bet with a lot of the suited hands. Because the question is, he could have just called. So it kind of comes down to if he just, he raised, let's eliminate hands that I think he would have called with. And I think we can kind of get down to something like that maybe, and maybe even not king queen. So, jacks plus ace queen. I think that might be his range here. And because I think he's going to be so tight, then that's going to restrict our range. So I think with that 4-bet, we're going to be like way behind. And I think it's probably okay just to go ahead and call. So technically, I think aces and kings, we're supposed to just go ahead and shove here. Probably. I got burned yesterday on kings. I knew I should have just called. But I think what we're looking at is a calling range that looks something like this. Maybe, see, we raised, we 3-bet. I think jacks, queens, kings. 10, 9, 8, I think is kind of, maybe we do it, maybe we don't. I'm not sure if I would do that, given this player. 71, he hasn't 3-bet at all. So I kind of feel like he's going to be at a very, very high, very top of his range. And it could just be like not even ace queen. It could be like kings and, aces, kings, queens, and jacks. So if that's the case, I'm going to say we're going to just try to get it all in with aces. But I think ace king, we could get it in with aces. Or with ace king, because we block aces and kings, and then we're up against queens. But I think here, I kicked myself last night, but I think this is probably going to be a spot where we just call, and I think we call with jacks, queens, kings, just because of the likelihood of having the overpair. So the idea moving forward is, if we have jacks, queens, kings, and an ace falls. I think that looks pretty good for us, because it's harder for him to have trip aces now. So I think with kings we call. I think with kings, queens, jacks, we probably call once and see what he does on the turn. And if he bets on the turn, then we just fold. With ace king, we're if we flop an ace, we're not going away. If we flop a king, we're going to play it much like we would have with the pairs. So we're going to call if he leads into us and see what he does on the turn. And if he bets again on the turn, I think we're just going to have to give up, because he's representing that he beats us. Kind of some play like that. And if it is, all over or all undercards to our pair, then we're probably just going to be getting it all in, quite possibly. We just kind of have to see what the betting and the bet sizes look like. So I think this is going to be our range. So I called, and flop comes ace queen 10, and this is one of those boards that, again, is kind of scary, quite frankly, because we blocked aces, we blocked kings. The queen comes out now is blocked. So it's like, okay, so what hands does he have? Well, he could still, so there's only one combo of aces out there. So I think that's probably the least likely scenario. There's 3 combinations of kings, 3 combinations of queens, 6 combinations of jacks. In this case, villain leads, and he leads kind of big. For this flop. So I think if he bets, he's probably going to be betting these top pairs. I'm going to say these pocket pairs too, because again, he's got draws. So if he didn't hit trips, he's got top pairs, or he has a gut shot draw. Nice thing is that you can't have like ace king of clubs. Can't have ace jack of clubs. If we miss his range, you can't have king queen of clubs. But you could have backdoor diamonds. So I wish I had a diamond so I could block some of those diamonds. So he bets. We've got top pair. I think here we're calling with the set. We're calling with top pair. Actually, we're probably No, I think we're calling with the set. We're going to try to let villain kind of just get him all in himself. Because I think if we come over the top with, let's say, aces, it gives him the opportunity for kings to fold. Definitely, I think the set, we're just going to, we would call with the set and probably call his turn bet with the set. So we're leaving sets in. And I think if anything, we don't really have a balanced raising range here. All of our hands are going to be pretty solid. So if you think about, well, what's the raising range? Some people would say, well, you could have, king X of clubs. Well, do we really have, we 3-bet and then we call the 4-bet? Would we really have a bunch of king X of clubs? Would we have, jack 9 of clubs? I don't think so. I don't think we have much of anything. Not even sure if we have king jack. So I think we're looking at gut shots, and I think if you think we have gut shots and villain has a king, like I have a king, that makes it much better that maybe he has a jack for the gut shot. So yeah, I think we're calling here with the set. I think we're calling top pair. I think with kings we're probably calling here. Because we do have the gut shot, and jacks we're probably calling. If we're going to fold anything, we're going to be folding these jacks, and just say, you know what, there's way too many ways that we're beaten, and that's he's betting 39 to win 52, and really we have to recognize that we've got the rest of it going in. So let's figure that out. So I think what we're going to have to do is use his entire stack here. So we're going to be risking 39.3 to win, not 79.3 to win 79.3 plus what's in the pot. 60% equity. We don't have 60% equity with the gut shot. So I think with jacks, we could probably just fold jacks on this board. Might not like it, but I think that's probably what our play is. We could possibly fold kings as well, and that just leaves us with ace king. But I think since we included jacks in his range, I think we're going to have to call with kings. So, he bets. I did call. And again, I don't think we have any sort of... Oops, yeah, there we go. I don't think we have any sort of like bluffing range here at all. So I don't see the benefit of raising. And you can see once we call, we're still about 50-50. So 7 of diamonds hits. Now, on these cards, I'd expect villain to shove. Basically, if he has an ace, I expect him to shove. If he doesn't have an ace, then I'm expecting him to check. So when he checks, I think we eliminate his sets. I think we eliminate his 2-pair, and I think we eliminate his top pair hands. So that's going to leave those hands. The kings and the jacks, I think, is what he's got. So now the question is, what do we do? If we bet, do we think he's going to call? Or can we just check and hope that he somehow goes for the bluff on the river? There is a possibility, again, that he could have ace queen and maybe scared of the straight, but I don't know. I think that's pretty slim. So I'm taking it because I don't want to give the free card. I think he has kings or jacks. I don't want to see a king or a jack here. And I think there's a possibility, since the pot is so large, that he could call. So let's go through this one. So we are betting 40 to win 131. So 40, whoops, close that. 40 to, I thought I hit clear. There we go. 40 to win. 40 plus 131.1. 23%. So if he folds more than 23%, it's break-even percentage. um, we break even 100%. I don't think so. I think he's probably continuing 30%. I think at the pot that's this size, when we bet 40, he's risking 40 to win 170, right? 40 to win 170. So 4-1, more better than 4-1 odds. He's going to look at that and say, I only need 20%. He's probably going to call. He's probably going to hope that I have, a queen, and I'm just going for it. Again, I don't know. Maybe the best is just to check. I think that possibly is the best way. We're way ahead of sets. We're way ahead of top pair. I mean, if we check and the worst card in the deck comes, a jack or a king, all I can say is, okay, that's cards. That's the randomness, and I don't think we could continue. I think that's kind of the risk that we play, but I think that's the issue. We bet, he calls. Again, off chance that maybe he has ace queen and was still playing and trying to get the rest of our money, but maybe that was our mistake, is betting here. In any case, we bet, he calls, and I think it's only kings or jacks, so he's all in. We see the river of 3. What does he show? He shows kings, so we had that. So yeah, the big question I kind of have is, did we make that correct play on that turn? I guess we can't really analyze pre-flop play, but we included jacks and kings. I kind of assume he's going to be c-betting on this board, try to represent that ace, and I think that's bad. So, if we were kings, I think we check. We check the flop because we're not going to have a whole lot of bluffs in this range either. So I think our entire range here is just going to be a check, and then see if villain bets. I think this would be a check call on our part, but it is a possibility that we could find a fold because, in thinking about combinations, we have the kings, so there's only one set of kings left. We kind of exclude pocket aces because we would assume those would have come in, try to get all in on the flop, but I think ace king, ace queen is very realistic. I think queens is very realistic. I think jacks is very realistic. So when we check call, we're just hoping for jacks. So then on the turn, we check again. If he bets again, I think we just fold at that point with the kings. And again, it might be considered nitty, but and against like high stakes players, elite players, maybe that's a mistake, but against the micro stakes, against 1-2 players, I don't think they're bluffing enough here. I think they're thinking along the same lines of, in this 4-bet pot, we've got a very narrow range. Both of us have a very narrow range. I think most of us would be continuing to bet to try to get all in if we had trips, if you had possibly ace king. Trips if you had 2 pair. I think ace king's going to play cautiously, so I think kings and jacks are playing cautiously. So as soon as you've got that check happening, it's almost sure sign that we're in the clear. All right, so that's our hand today. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, look tomorrow for another hand.